Alright, hello citizens of the Nigerverse. It's Niger once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. So, as always, I got some topics for you guys today. Hey, some ones I think you're going to enjoy. Just like you, I'm sure you enjoy my light being cut on there, as I forgot to before I started, but what can you do? But, of course, if you are indeed new to System Shock Radio, first of all, welcome. If not, welcome back. But if you are indeed new here, we talk about a variety of things, including current events, and we do some nerd stuff. So we do some pro wrestling, we do some inspiration, so a little bit of everything. So if that is your kind of thing, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as leaving a like and a comment for more. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is that it would seem that Denzel Washington is going to have a role in Black Panther 3. That's right. Hey, so news broke a little while ago that Denzel Washington is going to be in the third Black Panther movie. It looks like they are making a third one. And of course, they released the first one in 2018, then Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, and either 2022 or it may have been last year. Yep, it was 2022. So there's that. So Denzel Washington being in Black Panther 3, what his role is hasn't been revealed yet, but that is some big news. Him finally making his way into the MCU, but also, it seems like he's hinting at retirement, and that Denzel Washington might not be in Hollywood for much longer. Which honestly, he is not a bad thing because, of course, Denzel Washington has had a very lengthy, very storied career. He's definitely he he's definitely he been in a lot of fantastic, memorable roles. Also, him retiring is definitely well earned and well justified. Not saying if you aren't in good roles that you don't deserve to retire or anything, but especially with Denzel Washington, and so if this is the end for him, if being in the MCU is the end for him in terms of his career, and he retires afterwards, then definitely a very lengthy, very storied career and a very good career, I would say, all things considered, for Denzel. Oh, but as for what his role is going to be, in Black Panther 3, that remains to be seen. But I guess we will see when we move closer to that. At this time, I don't believe Black Panther 3 has an official release date. So it might be some time down the line. But in the meantime, I do. Who a lot of people are curious as to what kind of things we will see in Black Panther 3. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But that's the next thing that we're going to talk about is his last night was the fights that a lot of people had been waiting for, or her in Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Oh boy, where do we begin? And so this event, and not just the fight, but the event itself, was broadcast via Netflix live streaming. I didn't, and this was the I was surprised to learn that Netflix indeed did have live streaming, which I guess explains how Raw is going to be on Netflix. But yeah, Netflix trying out live streaming, and there are a lot of things to fix. Like, it kept buffering, it kept dropping for a lot of people. Now, admittedly, the Wi-Fi in my house here isn't always the best, so I thought it might have been I thought it might have been my Wi-Fi. Jeez, I cannot speak. But I thought it may have been my Wi-Fi, but no. Apparently, a lot of people were experiencing these issues. A lot of my friends and family, and a lot of people across social media. A lot of people having buffering issues with Netflix, like it dropping the connection, and every 10 minutes almost. Now, I'm no stranger to bad connections. Like when I watch like the WWE pay-per-view slash premium live events on like Peacock and everything, when I watch those live stream games, or when I watch like the AEW stuff on the AEW pay-per-views on like on Bleacher Report or Triller TV / Fight TV. He sometimes it can drop, sometimes the feed does drop, but not that consistently, and not for those long periods of time. I had to keep like backing in, and I had to keep backing out and then going in the app just to fix it. So that's really bad. So here's to hoping that those issues are fixed by the time and we get to not just Raw and Netflix come January, but also they're gonna be doing NFL. They're gonna be live streaming some of the NFL games on Netflix, and it's to the point where people had to use like third party apps or some kind of other software to be able to, or streaming to be able to watch the event, and because it was cutting out so much, and because I was mainly there for the main event, hence I sadly missed the undercard, and apparently I missed a hell of an undercard because apparently the other fights were really good, but sadly I kind of missed them. I did kind of want to watch. I did kind of want to watch the semi-main, if you will, but hell, and apparently some controversy went down there, but the feed was just acting up. Thankfully, it didn't really cut out that often. It cut out like a couple times when we got to the actual main events, which I guess, speaking of which, let's get to the main event of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. And so this is kind of a review in a way. I debated on whether or not I wanted to do like a full-fledged just like review for this fight, but I figured, you know what? No, because it definitely does not deserve it. And now, admittedly, up to this point, I had never really seen Jake Paul box, so being able to see him for the first time, and of course, Iron Mike Tyson, but Iron Mike Tyson is definitely very well past his prime. He is, of course, 58 years old, and it definitely showed in the course of this fight. And it's a fight a lot of people complain that it's a fight they hyped up so much, but at the same time, you got to sell the event. You got to get people to tune into the event. So Jake Paul and Mike Tyson had been going at it, including Mike Tyson slapping the crap out of Jake Paul all during their weigh-in, in which none of that was here. Mike Tyson, and admittedly, I know it's because of his age, even though he had been training really well, from some of the things I've seen, and he definitely sadly the victim of good old-fashioned father time, and because the way he was moving so slow and almost gingerly, he was dealing with the health issues, which is why the fight had to be postponed until yesterday, and apparently he's also dealing with the knee injury. You kind of saw the knee brace as the match went on. You can tell Mike Tyson very much past his prime, but him still going the distance, even if the eight rounds were only 2 minutes apiece. He's still a decent amount of props for him being able to go the distance, and for his age. And Jake Paul, I gotta give it to Jake Paul. I may not be the biggest fan of him or his brother, but not too bad in there. And thankfully, Jake Paul didn't come out to "It's Every Day, Bro" this time like he did at Crown Jewel back in 2022. But Jake Paul almost like running circles around on Mike, and it's one of those. A lot of people had pointed this out. It's definitely one of those like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of things. Where if Jake Paul had lost, he lost to a past his prime Mike Tyson. But if he won, he beat up a past his prime Mike Tyson. But Jake Paul ultimately winning via referee decision, judge's decision, and unanimously, might I add. But apparently Hogan wants to fight Mike Tyson, and sure, or after Jake Paul. After Jake Paul's, why not have Hogan get a piece of he's a Mike Tyson as well at his age. But yeah, the match was very much in slow motion. Now, me being a wrestling fan, I am used to some matches in slow motion, but it was it was kind of rough to watch. Which I definitely can't lie, it was pretty rough to watch. Thankfully, the undercard was there to bolster the main events, but a lot of people felt that it was rigged. Felt that Mike Tyson was kind of holding back. People had noticed because he kept like biting his gloves. Him want. A lot of people interpreted that as him really wanting to knock out Jake Paul, but obviously, when it comes to business, that might not have been the best business decision. Mike Tyson, I'm sure, got a good payday out of it, as did Jake Paul. But yeah, the fight was not great. It's unfortunately, but with Mike Tyson's age, what else did you expect? Like, I think there were a lot of people who were expecting. First of all, there were a lot of people expecting a knockout, and it didn't help that both apparently Jake Paul and Mike Tyson and that both guaranteed a knockout. But I think a lot of people were expecting a knockout or expecting like a full-on knockdown, drag-out fight, similar to like Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward or Mike Tyson in his prime. But sadly, this is not prime Mike Tyson. This is a very much aged Mike Tyson. No disrespect to Mike Tyson, of course, because boxing is something I definitely can't do. But yeah, it was pretty sad to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the comparisons between like this and then the DX Undertaker versus Brothers of Destruction match at Crown Jewel 2018. Now I haven't seen that dumpster fire, but I'm pretty sure this match probably a bit more competitive than that one. But this fight was not great at all. Thankfully. Thankfully, I guess the stream allowed me to watch that match without too much interruption, but I kind of wish it didn't. and is this a match you could have skipped? More than likely, but yeah. But at least Mauro Ranallo was there on commentary. Good to see him still doing well and everything. But yeah, not a great fight. But nevertheless, speaking of pro wrestling, it's time for the pro wrestling part of the episode. Of course, as Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins are going to be joining the Bloodline in War Games. Now, we had unfortunately been spoiled about it because of the pre-taped Raw, but now it's set into motion as of last night with Bronson Reed joining the new Bloodline side, and Seth going to join his former brother in arms, Roman, alongside the OG Bloodline. Now, I've seen a lot of people contend this. A lot of people saying, it ruins this, it ruins Seth Rollins' sacrifice at WrestleMania, this and that. It should have been 4-on-4. Here's what I'll say about it. I think if it was 4-on-4, just OG Bloodline, that being Roman, Uso, Sammy versus New Bloodline, Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, I think that'd have been fine. But considering the last 2 years were 5-on-5, they probably still want to do the 5-on-5, because I'm sure there were also people complaining like, oh, why isn't this 5-on-5? You had 5-on-5 last year, you had 5-on-5 the year before that. And pretty much another case where people are going to complain no matter what. But as for the choices, is people wondering, well, how does this make sense? Seth Rollins said he wasn't teamed with the Bloodline. Seth Rollins got attacked by Roman Reigns with the chair at WrestleMania and everything. I think what they're going for, and perhaps once Raw airs, they'll probably explain it away and everything, and that Seth is pretty much there to get back at Bronson. And the thing to keep in mind about the Bloodline is they are about the OG Bloodline is that they aren't exactly buddy with each other. That's not the narrative being driven. That I think is a lot of people's conclusion. They're trying to say that the Bloodline's all buddy and everything. The OG Bloodline, that's not the case. There's still a lot of tension. And Sammy pretty much there because Jay's there because on some level he does want to reconcile with his brother and his cousin, and has reason to go after Solo because Solo and his Bloodline cost him the Intercontinental Championship, and plus he realizes how much of a danger it is. Seth is pretty much there because of Bronson, and Bronson's there because he's big and strong, and because he's getting the main event spotlight. I think a lot of people are misinterpreting where things are going. And now, how Seth and Bronson's involvement, are they going to add to the match? I'm definitely sure. Or especially if we get a tsunami off the top of the cage, courtesy of Bronson Reed. You know it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be a sight to see. But this gives Bronson in a good main event slot. I'm sure they'll explain away, and some of it writes itself. Some is left to interpretation as to Seth's motive for being with the OG Bloodline, and again, doesn't undo the WrestleMania 40. He doesn't undo Seth Rollins' involvement at WrestleMania 40. I don't think it fully does. It's mainly because that was about stopping Roman, versus this is Seth going after Bronson, because Seth and Bronson are also having their feud, and that kind of interconnecting here, and Seth realizing what a danger Bronson is especially tied with the new Bloodline and everything. So the pieces are there, and sometimes you gotta let it cook. Sometimes you gotta let it simmer. And Triple H as Booker is definitely his tactic. You can kind of see his tactic is playing the long game, even if it doesn't make sense at first. Once it unfolds and once things put into place, that's when things start to connect. Does it always work? Not necessarily, but it's playing the long game. I think is Triple H's game. No pun intended, of course. But yeah, I am interested to see how things unfold when we get to War Games. But next up, let's go to the other side. Let's see what AEW is up to, because apparently they may be acquiring Speedball Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey was just the X Division champion, and he dropped it to Moose, and a lot of people were confused. Why did Speedball drop the X Division title? He won it not too long ago. Well, apparently it's because he's seemingly on his way to AEW. Who has his contract with Impact wrapped up, and so a lot of people speculate he may be on his way to AEW and may be a part of this year's Continental Classic. Now, admittedly, not super familiar with Speedball Mike Bailey, but I know a lot of people are fans of his, and I personally would be interested in seeing him in the ring and seeing what he's all about. That's the thing about wrestlers that you're unfamiliar with. Is I think too many people will say, "Oh, I'm unfamiliar with XYZ," and automatically write them off from there. No, I'm unfamiliar with XYZ. This is me. He's saying this. I'm unfamiliar with XYZ. I'm interested to see what they do. Like, why are people so quick to turn up their nose to something or someone that they're not super familiar with? This is your chance to get familiar with. How could I have watched him in Impact? Can I go watch highlights? Of course, but I mean, in terms of coming into a new company, person you don't know, person you're not really familiar with, coming into a new company doesn't automatically mean they're a nobody. Write them off. That's not how that works. This is your chance to watch them, and you might have missed out on them on Impact. You can always check out the highlight reels because we do have the internet, of course, right here. But this is your chance to check them out and see what they're all about. And that mentality of automatically writing them off, I never got. But yeah, I'm interested to see what Mike Bailey does here, and to see what he's all about. And I think the Continental Classic, kind of that, obviously, the tournament and everything, I think would be a really interesting way to introduce him. And I do wonder what the bracket will look like this year as we're getting closer to the Continental Classic. But Speedball going to AEW. I want to see if that is the move. There's a chance it might not be. It's kind of more so the rumor mill for now. But if he does go, I'm interested to see what he does. But last thing I want to talk about is investing in the future generation. Now, that's something that I've kind of seen floating around quite a bit, especially in kind of regards to the recent election and what went down with it and everything. But investing in the future generation, I why invest in the future generation? Why is it important to invest in the future generation? And it's in a way, I feel like it's kind of self-explanatory. It's because it's the future. These are the young kids that we see now, the young minds that are being molded now, are the people that are going to, I don't necessarily want to say take over, but more so who help shape their own future and be able to, and will be members of society in the future. I remember when I was a kid, a lot of the lessons my parents taught to me, and not just my parents, but the people around me and the experiences I had taught to me. He definitely helped shape my viewpoints on things later on in life. So if that happened to me, if my viewpoint was shaped based on my experiences and what I was taught, if that happened to me, where it shaped how I do things, how I look at things later on in life, what about these young children? And what can you teach this younger generation that they'll carry into the future? And sadly, a lot of people. Well, sadly, there's too many people who don't think about that because for a variety of reasons. I'm not trying to stir a hornet's nest, I promise, but there are people who don't necessarily want to invest in the future generation. Why should we invest in them? And because they're the future. They're going to be the future. They're going to be the ones leading later on down the line. So if we invest good in that, and think about planting a seed. If you plant the seed and you water it, make sure it gets enough sunlight and everything, it's going to grow. But if you neglect that seed, then the seed is going to wither and die. Now the children might not die literally, but they may die physically. Not physically. In some cases, maybe physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So keep that in mind. You're watering these young seeds, and you're going to watch them grow into the beautiful flowers and plants that will lead the future. And I'm not talking in like the Little Shop of Horrors way. I'm talking about how the future leaders and everything. Now, some children do grow to be leaders and everything, and adults in spite of what they grew up with. But otherwise, investing in the youth, investing in the future generations, teaching them things that you wish you were taught as a child, to make sure to train them up so that they're prepared for the future, I think is very important. And it's something that a lot of people, I feel, neglect. But I definitely want to invest in the young children, invest in the youngsters, and it will show once they become fantastic leaders. The thing is, children are full of potential. They're full of all kinds of potential. So working towards their potential, helping them realize their potential, is definitely important. And admittedly, there are things that I wish I was able to do as a kid that kids have access to now, are able to now. So don't put down their dreams. Just help them realize dreams. Sometimes their dreams may change, but be with them every step of the way, and they will thank you for it later on, even if not verbally, but through their actions. But I don't know if that made any sense, but I definitely feel that investing in future generations is important. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on post notifications. Every time let me know in the comments below your thoughts on what we talked about in this episode, and that's what I meant to say. Turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see it as soon as it drops. There we go. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.